Again, I'm going to go to Xcode right here. I'm going to start with a new project. I'm going to go to my folder, no, my single view app next. We're going to give it a name. What did they tell you to call it? Traffic Segways. Traffic Segways. Okay, Traffic Segways. Next, we're going to put it somewhere. I'm going to put it in my folder where I've been putting everything else. Again, I'm going to change universal to iPhone. Whoosh, iPhone. Let's see, anything else I want to change? No. Again, they're going to use a button to go from screen to screen. So the first thing you're going to do is put a button on the screen, and they're going to put it in the screen. So again, I'm going to start with the main storyboard right here, and the main storyboard right here. And I'm going to put a button in the middle of the screen by going to button. So again, this button up here is where you turn on your button. You should know how to put a button on by now. So I'm going to put a button on the screen, put a button in the middle of the screen. We also last class learned about interface builder, or we learned about auto layout. Remember learning a little bit of auto layout, how we align things. So this one's very easy because we're going to align things in the center. But just when we get to doing this, I will teach you more of the auto layout. How to get these next to each other, right? How to align them from the picture down. We learned a little bit about that, right? And then how they go from the buttons down to maybe a box of text here. So I'm sure we'll be able to get to this today as well. Hopefully we get through this quickly. So again, this one's quite easy though. We know we're going to put it right in the center. How do we put it in the center? Let me move my box up a little bit so you can see it. Again, it's this box right here. This align option right here with the two. Can you see that over there? Yeah, you can see that on that side over there. This align option right here, boom, I'm going to go center, center, right there. Vertical and horizontal, boom. It's right in the center. That's on page 334 in the book there. 334 in the book. Okay, I'm going to change my screen. Next, we're going to add a color to our background. If you remember how to change the background color of your view controller, oh, well, they actually, we're going to make more. First, let's give this one a color. Remember to give it a color. To do that, you're going to select your view controller right here. Select it. Go to the attributes right here. Remember the arrow that points down? Look at my cursor up here in the upper right corner. And we're going to go to where it says background. Remember background right there? And we're going to give it a color. And you can give it a color. They want it to be red. Red? Whoosh. Red. 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 Is that kind of red? Reddish. Okay, next we're going to add another view controller. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I need to make my window a little bigger so I can zoom out. And I'm going to move my window around a little bit. And I'm going to make another view controller to go to. To make another view controller, you go up here to the insert the library up here in the upper corner of the library. And you're going to put in a new view controller. How do I put in a new view controller? You type in view controller, like that, and you drag it out, and you can put it next to it. Okay. Now we're not putting a button on there yet. We will. We don't need to do that right now. And then you're going to give it a color, and in the book they give it a yellow color. So if you want, you can give it a yellow color. A yellow color in the book they give it a yellow color. Whoosh, yellow. Okay, so we have two view controllers next to each other. Again, you can move them around by clicking and dragging them. See that? You can click and drag them around. Notice which one plays first. How do you know which one plays first? There's an arrow right here. That one says play this one first. Do you see that? Right? Now we want to go from this button to this one, right? When the person clicks the button, I want to go to yellow. If you remember, again, we're using the control key. I'm going to click with my mouse. I'm going to hold the control key down. I'm going to click with the mouse on my button. I'm going to drag to this one, and I'm going to release the mouse. And the first thing that comes up is it's going to ask us for an action. You've just created a short sequence of segues. At the moment, though, there's no way to return to the red view. So which one do we want to choose? You got show, detail, present, modally, present as popover, custom. And what do they tell you to do it in the book? They don't say. When you release the mouse, trackpad button pops over. Oh, you see the popover. They want popover. Do you see popover in here? Do we have a popover? Present as popover right there. Do you see it? So I'm going to go to where it says present as popover. Let me open this up a little bit so we can see. So again, when the person hits the button, it'll go to this one. When you release the mouse and trackpad button, you'll see a popover that allows to specify the presentation method of the segue. Oh no, they wanted show. Choose, but focus your attention on present, modally, and show. Present, modally, model what?
Yeah, that is the option before.
Yeah. Will display the yellow view controller over the red using the bottom-up sliding animation. You'll see the animation in the Mail app when you begin writing a new email, or a contact when you choose to create a new contact. Which one do they want us to choose, though? There are multiple segues to choose from, but focus your attention on the present, modally, and show. So I did the wrong one, didn't I? How do I go back in time? Undo changed canvas position? No. Undo add connection. How about that? Boom. Okay, I undoed that twice. Remember the undo?
Delete also works.
What's that?
Just press delete on the, you highlight the segue.
Oh, the delete. I think it's best to undo. Again, I'm going to try again. So again, I'm going to control click, and which one do you think we should try? Modally. Okay, there we go. So again, if we test it, I'm going to go to iPhone 8. Of course, before I test it here, iPhone 8 here. If we test it, it should go from one to the other. If we get our simulator up here. Woo-oo. My simulator is in the... Whoops, it's upside down. Okay, whatever. It'll still work. Boom. You see that? Okay, so it goes from one to the other. Okay. If you want to change your segue options down here, you can do that by, if you had more room down here, you can adjust it here. I don't know why. I don't have enough room to see all the options. Here we go. Orientation should be this. Portrait. I don't know why it's not. Devices. iPhone 8. Okay, I don't know. Okay, let's move on. That was on page 335. The segue will also present modally until a navigation and controller is added to the storyboard scene. You will add one of these later in the lesson. So for now, select show. Oh, now they say select show. An arrow will appear above the controller indicating transition from red view controller to the yellow. They said show. Okay, so now they want me to change it to show. How can I? Let me go back in time. Let me do it one more time. Jeez, they're killing me here. Let's try again. Control click, show. Okay, let's just go with what they have there. Build and run your app. When you click your app, click the UI button, you should see the yellow view animate from bottom to top. Now add a third view controller position to the right of the yellow. Set this background color to green. As the previous step adds a UI button to the yellow view, create center constraints, then control drag from the button to the green view controller and define a show segue as well. So again, they want you to make another one. Let me move these up a little bit over here. I'm going to make one more. To make another view controller, you use the library again, type in view controller, drag another one out. This time they want you to put green in there, so you select it, go to the attributes, and where the background is, we'll change it to green. Green, what? Oh, here we go. Green, green. So we have red, yellow, green. Then they want you to add a button to the yellow one, so we can go over here and add a button. So we're going to put another button into the yellow one. I'm going to put it in the center. Once it's in the center, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Once it's in the center, I can go to my alignment here, and let's align that in the center as well. Boom, boom. It's in the center. Okay, so we have two buttons now. And of course, we want to do a transition from the yellow to the green. We're going to do the exact same thing by holding down the control key. Hold down the control key and go from there to there. And then they want you to use show again. Show again. So those are the steps. We just did them again. So we have a red one, a yellow one, and a green one. And then this button should go to this one as well. So you should be able to go from red, yellow, green. Let's try it. So if I test my movie here, or test my app here, I should be able to go from, oh, it's upside down again, red, yellow, green. Okay, red, yellow, green. So see if you can get to that point. That is on page, again, 335. And you just need to change the screen at the top to get to that. When you build and run your app, tapping the button on the red view controller will modularly present the yellow view controller, and tapping the button on the yellow view will get you the green view controller. Note that the red view controller is of type view controller. Okay, you didn't assign a class to the yellow and green view controller, so there'll be generic UI view controllers instances. This distinction will be important when you implement an unwind segment. What are they trying to say at this point? Well, at this point in the book, what they're trying to say is that the red one was the first one that you made, right? The first one that was the default on there. When we add programming to this, there's one view controller Swift. Do you see it right here? View controller Swift right here. See that? This view controller Swift is attached to this red one, but these other ones over here, this yellow one doesn't really have a view controller, and this one either. They have what's called a generic one, what the book is calling here a generic view controller. You didn't assign a class to the yellow and green view controllers, so they'll be generic UI view controller instance. This distinction would be important when you implement the unwind segment. Okay, so what they're trying to say is, in the long run, if you're making multiple scenes, you're going to have a different view controller for each one, because each one's going to have its own programming, at least the way that we build apps in. But we don't necessarily need to do that right now, because we can use the generic one to go back. Remember my back idea that I have? Oh, we go to a screen and then go back? Because we're not really doing anything. We're not doing, well, maybe if we tried to add the scroll view in here, that would be a problem. This works if you don't add programming to these things. Because you can go from here to here, and as long as you're not doing anything, it's easy to just go back to here. Like I said, remember to exit, just go back, right? The problem is if you tried to add programming to this, it would have to have its own view controller. This one has programming, because this is a button, right? It needs to go somewhere. This is a button. Well, I guess so. I don't know. There's generics. But what I'm trying to say is you would have to have a view controller for each. Let's see how they implement this. There's an exit option. To build your app and run your app button, the yellow. Oh, okay, let's turn the page. 336. The unwind segue. You've just created a short sequence of segues. At the moment, though, there's no way to return to the red view once the yellow and green view controllers have been presented. To enable the user to go back to the previous view controller, you'll need to create something called an unwind segue. While a segue transitions to another scene, an unwind segue transitions from the current scene to the return to a previous displayed screen. That's what I meant by previous displayed. It just goes back to the one it was on previously. To begin, select the View Controller Swift in the Project Navigator and add the following method just below the ViewDidLoad function. Code that deals with segues is typically placed near the end of the View Controller files. So, again, if you want to bring up the code at the same time, I'm going to move this over here a little bit so I can have more space. I'm going to move this down a little bit so I can have more space. And to bring up the code and make sure that the first one is selected over here. I think so. I guess so. I don't know. And then go to the Olympic. Remember the Olympic symbol, this one right here? The Olympic symbol. If you click on that, boom, it should bring up your view controller. Again, this is the code for that. they want you to add it down here to in the view did load option. So right below where it says add the following method just below the view did load function. View did load right here function right below it. I don't know if it has to be above or below the super view did load, but this is the function though, right in there. So you're going to put an IB action function unwind to red. Okay, so you're going to have to type this in. This is not a drag option. You name the method anything you like, but it must take the UI storyboard segue as its only parameter. So they're making up a name. So they're going to do the @ IB action func, which we learned about last class. Then they say unwind to red. Unwind to red. Then they have a round bracket, and then again unwind segue, unwind segue. And then the most important thing is the storyboard. And don't worry about the error message because it doesn't know what it's connected to yet. So don't be stressed about that yet. We're going to connect it to something. Don't worry. And then you're going to type in the UI story board segue. Like that. So the reason why it's complaining to you right now is because it doesn't know what it's connected to. It's not connected to something. Unwind segues can be tricky to understand at first glance. By adding a function that takes a UI storyboard segue as a parameter to any scene view controller definition, you're letting the interface builder that the scene is a valid destination for an unwind segue. In this lesson, the method you just added doesn't contain any code. It just can be used to pass information from the endpoint of the segue back to the source view controller. Check out how this works. Back then, the main storyboard, add the button to the center of the green view, update the button text to read dismiss. So again, they're going to add another button to the green one, right here, the green one. Don't worry about the error messages right now. We'll come back and fix them. So go back to this view controller right here, and you can close this for right now. I'm going to go back to the green one. Again, you got your button up here. We're going to put a button on there, and we're going to put it in the center. And I tell you to call it dismiss. Dismiss. And then we can center that like we did the other ones. Check out how that works. Back in the main storyboard, add a button to the center of the green view, update the button's text to read dismiss. Now we're going to take the dismiss and we're going to attach it to the unwind. So where is the unwind or exit in this case? It's the exit object is in the, if you can see, it's the little button at the top. Remember I drew this little thing right here? That thing is that's the exit option. So if you look at your storyboard, you'll see at the very top there's a little red one at the very right side. See that? There's a yellow one, and then there's one in the middle, and then there's a red one on the side. Do you see that one? So you're going to drag the actual dismiss to that. So here we go. Just like you dragged before, you're going to drag to that. So here we go. You're going to take the dismiss option that's right here. Oof, there it is. Dismiss. And you're going to drag it to the actual button at the top. Control drag the dismiss button to the exit object at the top of the view controller, which is this green one right. Oh, I think you got to be kind of closer. I'm not getting it there. Hold on. Let me zoom in here. And let me scroll here. It needs to go in here. So we need to go from here to there, and it's not connected. I know. How did I fix this last time? I was having problems with this last time. Control the dismiss button to the exit object at the top of the view controller. So when you release the mouse button or trackpad button, a pop-over will appear listing all available destinations for unwind. In this case, there's only one option, unwind, with which matches the method. How did I do that? Exit. It is exit, yes. I know I had this work. I know I got this to work. I have to remember how I did that. I think I put the code in the wrong spot. Let me go back to the... No, I didn't want that. I want that. I want that. I want... I'm going to have to bring this up. Really? This does need to be linked somewhere. Let me put it under here. Yeah, no. Let me read this again. Let me pause my video. Again, we put it down below this option here. Then control click. Oh, jeez. No, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. Okay, there we go. Control click to here. And then it says unwind to red with unwind segue. That's what it should say there. Which matches the method signature you placed in the definition of the view controller. Go ahead and select it. Build and right. When you click the dismiss button, it should unwind all the way back to the red view controller. Yeah. So if I choose this and then play it, I got an error. What did I spell wrong?
It's expecting a body, so it doesn't have a body.
What am I putting it wrong?
So it doesn't have the code yet.
What's that?
It does not have its code, so
This X should go somewhere. Expect the... Does it want the round brackets here? I know I got it to work before. Oh. Whoosh. Was it lowercase? Okay, I don't know. Again, to fix that, we added the curly brackets here, and then it worked. So let's go back to our first one. So I'm going to save this so I can go back, and then let's open up our Person app. You can close this for now if you want. I'm going to close that. Okay, so I'm going to add 2 buttons One of them's going to be a pictures, and the other oh, my thing fell asleep here. So I'm going to go back to the person app here. If I can find it. Okay, I'm going to go back to this one where we were before. Okay, first let's talk about adding the buttons. So what we have is we're going to have two buttons that are next to each other. So remember, you kind of align things from the top down is the way I'm doing it. If you remember from last class, we align this to the top. Do you see the little line right there? Right? And then we align this to this object, right? So I'm going to actually add two buttons here and align them to the top of this object. And we're going to just try it. So let's add two buttons. Again, I'm going to add one button here. I'm going to call it About Me. And kind of put it next to it here. And then I'm going to add another one over here. And we'll call it Pictures. So we have an About Me and Pictures. Two buttons. Again, it doesn't know where they are in space right now. So one of the problems you run into is that once you start adding things, it doesn't know how to, where it needs to be in space. That's sort of what the auto layout is all about. So if we look at this button, you could say that, well, where is it in space? Well, it has a left side, right? And then it has the pictures next to it on the right side. Then it has Nathan Explosion at the top, and then it has some text at the bottom. But there's no text at the bottom right now. So it's going to be confused with the bottom one. Sometimes when you're doing the auto layout, it's best to put all the objects on there and then align them to all the objects that are on the screen. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to put the text on first so that I can go, I'm going to align this to this, this to this, this to that. Kind of like that. So before I do any of the layout, I'm going to add the text I want on the screen. I have made a Word document that has the text on the screen. If I can find that Word document. I know I made a Word document. Oh, here it is. Person app. Okay. And then here's his text. And then I'm not going to use all this. Whoosh. Let's just grab just a little bit. I'm going to grab a couple lines. Okay, putting multiple lines on there. If you look in the reading here, they do talk about multiple lines. Hold on. Where is that? It's on page 213. Page 213. The UI label and find a number of line symbol in the description, and you'll see the following text. So I'm going to actually put in the label. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to use a label because it's not being controlled. Labels are fine if you're not going to change the text and stuff. If you want to change the text, you would usually use a button. If it's just text that's going to be on the screen, that's just readable text, you can use a label. Or here, let's just look at them. Hold on, let me remove this. Let's look at some of the options you can put in. You have navigation controller. This is what I was talking about, where you add the back button at the top and it automatically puts it in there. Remember that example that I was just talking about? That's called navigation controller. You add that, and what that does is it manages your navigation from screen to screen to screen by putting the back button. It's different than what we just did with the exit, but this is the easiest and most common way, and I probably pretty much use this almost all the time. We're not doing it now, though. Table view is a great way. Also, what the table view is for having a list. Most of the things you see in the Apple is basically a big list of things, right? With a line between them, right? Right? So that's the table view, right there. Collection view is what I was talking about, where you have like when you were doing the photos and you want to program them. If you use collection view, well, not maybe is this the image one? No, I think there's an image collection view as well. It's a little bit different. I can't remember if this is the one with the images or not. Then you have the tabbed one. Remember we talked about that kind of navigation? That's the most common at the bottom, where you would have like the music app, right? And stuff like that, where you have the buttons at the bottom there. I'm thinking of my mail app. Well, most of the apps like that have a tab along the bottom, don't they? Some of them, the common ones. Split view, where you have two controllers, page view controller, UIGL view controller kit, that's for adding graphics to your screen. What are kind of the graphics? Well, if you want to add a circle, square, button, and things like that, you have certain things you can add. Then there's a objects, very added button. This is a on-off segment. You have a text field. Display editable text and send an action message to a target object when returned is tapped. This is when you have input fields, right? You want somebody to input something. Editable text, right? A slider, you've seen those before, where you change something. The brightness, right? You've changed the brightness of your screen before. There's a tap switch. This is an on-off. This is like a loading bar. Progress bar, page controller, stepper, horizontal stack, vertical stack, table view. In fact, this might be best to be a horizontal stack. Remember I said stacks are groups? This and this could be put in a horizontal stack. The problem that you run into is it's gonna put them next to each other like this.
Little 3 buttons.
It'll take the about me and pictures and it'll kind of jam them together like this, and then you have to try and figure out how to put space between it. And let's not do that till next. We're gonna align it by hand right now. Collection view cell. Here's another text view. Displays multiple lines of editable text. Again, editable text. If you want static text that people aren't changing, again, you're gonna use a label with multiple lines. Remember, label with multiple lines. Here's the scroll view, picker, data picker, date picker, and then some special effects, and then these are all for games, and then so on. So again, the one you want to use for just text that people don't change, you type in label, drag your label out. I'm going to double click on my label. I'm going to paste the text. Watch what happens when I paste the text. Woo! It's a super big long line. Why is it a super big long? Look at that. You can't see it because it's even. Look at that. It goes way off. Look at this. Let's zoom out. Woo! Look at it. It went all the way over there. And the reason why it went all the way over there is because it only has one line. Again, on page 213 in the book, they talk about adding multiple lines to your label. Page 213. To do that, you click on your label, and you go to the attributes option right here, attributes option, and inside there you'll notice where it says lines right here, lines, and you can add more lines. Now notice it's not changing. Why is it? Well, because I put the text in there before I put the lines in there. How can I fix that? Well, you do have these arrow keys on there, and you can make your label bigger. I'm trying to grab the. Here, let's drag down, and we got to push over. I can't get to the edge. I'm gonna have to zoom out. Here we go. No, I need to push it in, like you would do a word wrap. There we go. Now I'm getting it. Do you know what I mean when I say word wrap? Right? The box needs to be smaller, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So again, you can go down and you can make the box smaller and bigger. Do you see that? And then you can align and move the box around. Did you see that? you can make your box more than what is needed. I have 8 here and I don't need 8, right? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? I just put 8 in there because I put 8 in there. Again, you can align, see how you can move it around and stuff. So again, this is the number of lines. You can wrap, see how it does word wrap as you change the size of the box. Now here's a problem too. The box should have some constraints. What are the constraints? You constrain how big the box is so it doesn't go. Remember with the photo? Do you guys remember with the photo? Remember how the photo went crazy on us? You remember that? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is you should give the box some constraints so it stays at a specific size so it doesn't start going crazy as well. Okay? So to do that, you can do that just by adding constraints. So I'm going to kind of make it, and you'll notice it's 283 by 152. How do I get these numbers? Well, they're popping up as I'm dragging it. Do you see that? So I can specify those in the width and height. If you remember, so again, remember what they are, 284 by 152. Where do I put that in? Well, I come down here to this option right here. It's the Add New Constraints option. Do you see it right here? If I click on that, then I can add the checkbox. It put it in there automatically for you. And then say Add to Constraints. Why does it give me a red line? Well, it doesn't know where it's at in space. Remember that. Right? We haven't told it where it's going to be. It needs to. You gave it some size, but it's saying, "Hey, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. You told me how big I'm supposed to be, but you didn't tell me where I'm going to be." So again, one easy way is to measure from the top down, and then from the bottom up as well. So the best way to, if you want this to look like this, is I would go from here to here, here to here, and then here to the bottom. How do we do that? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is start with the buttons first. To go with the buttons, I'm going to click on the buttons themselves. And I'm going to go to the constraint option. Now, I'm not doing the alignment, this one right here, this alignment, because I'm not going to align it to the center like the other ones were. So we don't need to do that. What we want to do is just add space from top, left, right, and bottom. How do we do that? Is we click on this one right here, the one that says Add New Constraints. Inside there, I'm going to click on the top, which is 26. The left is 91. The right is 8, and the left is 70. Where's 70? 70 is to this text over here.
So it automatically picks up the next one, right?
It's the one that's nearest neighbor. See that? Spacing to nearest neighbor. Nearest neighbor says it's going to space. What is the nearest neighbor? Well, you have the right of the screen. So what it's saying is it's recognizing this, and it's giving you 26 pixels down. Do you see that? Then it's recognizing 91 pixels here, and then 70 pixels here, and then 8 pixels kind of close to that text. Okay, so if you hit Add Constraints there, it puts it there. I'm going to click on this one. Here we go. I'm going to go all around. Does the same thing. Click on this one. Oh, it has red. We're going to go all the way around for this one as well. And it knows where it needs to be now. So everything is blue. When everything's blue, it's good. Okay? So when everything is blue, it says, hey, I know where I'm at in space, and keep me here. If you rotate it, they'll all stay in the center. Again, they're all going from the top down, so you're measuring from Nathan Explosion down to the picture, from the picture to the buttons, from the buttons down to the text to the bottom of the screen. Notice this is also being measured as well. So how does that happen when you rotate? I don't know. Let's test and see. It might not work right. It might. Let's test. I want to see. Oh, mine's upside down, isn't it? I'm still upside down. Hold on.
That's okay. You can test.
Let's see. I am still upside down. Okay, let's see. Okay, it looks pretty good layout, even though it's upside down. Let's go all the way around. How do we get all the way around? Portrait. Okay, there we go. So that looks pretty good. Alignment looks okay. Let's go. Let's try orientation. Let's try right. Oh, what happened?
The
Oh,
picture is not aligned on the right.
yeah. What is the problem? Well, here's the problem: is that you started telling it to be to the left side, right?
On the right.
On this, right? So it says, "Oh, I need my left side here." Okay, and then up, and then these all start getting crazy. So that was a problem. That's where the stacks come in, where we could group them together, and then tell that group to be in the center.
Or we could have done the alignment from the right one.
There's what I'm trying to say is there's multiple ways that you could have done this. So how do we fix that? How do we fix that? This is a big challenge. The easiest way is to remove the constraints and either add them, group them, or do something like that. How do we do that? And let me bring both screens back so we can see that. So in this case, how do we get rid of them? Well, you'll notice the constraints are over here in the pull down menu. Remember I told you this is kind of like the layers window inside of Photoshop. Thank you. And so the image is fine. We don't need to mess with that because it's in the center. It's down here is what the problem is. You'll see all these down here. In fact, if you want to start over, I would click. You can click down here, and you can see ooh, don't delete that one. That one's from the top. Don't delete that one. Don't. It'll show you highlight. See how I'm doing it? Highlight, 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 highlight. So again, you can highlight. This one's no good. I'm going to delete that. That's no good. That's okay. That's the size. Oh no, that's from the bottom. That's no good. This one's good. That's from the top down. That's in the center, yes. That's fine. That's in the center. That's no good. 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 What do you mean by that's no good? Well, these ones that are not giving me the best, you can see them. There we go. And these ones I don't think we need to mess with. That's the size of that. Okay. That's in the center. Image top from the bottom. Oh no, that one's fine. Okay, so I removed those. Let's start again. We're going to have to use stacks. There's no way around it, I think, that I can think of. Without, the easiest way would be to group and then center the group in the center of the screen. And then align it to the other objects. So let's try that. So again, I'm going to go boom, boom. So to group things together, you highlight them. You know, I select both. What do you do to select two things? Yeah, right. Stacks is this one right here. See how the arrow is pointing down right here? Let's try that. I'm going to click on that. We want to do, no, we don't want that. Isn't that it? Embed view, stocks, no. No, it's not that one. Which one is it? No. Horizontal center, vertical center. Where is? I swear that was stacks before. Stack view. Right here. It is that one. So click here. Stack view. Makes it a group. I see it as a group. Then we can take that group. Oh, no. Where's my stack? Oh, it's called stack view right here. See it over here? Stack view. And then center that horizontally. There we go. It's giving me red because it doesn't know how far down it should be. So now we can go back to that and say down from the picture. That fixes that. And then this we can then go and center that. Hold on, let me fix this. And then how does it know it should be down from the one above it? And there we go. Okay, I fixed it. I just had to think about it. Let me make sure it rotates properly. Hold on.
How do you add the constraint within the stack?
Okay, just give me a minute. I'm gonna go. I will cover this all again. I just want to make sure I did it right. Hold on. Make sure I did it right. Oh, that looks better. Uh-oh, upside down. There we go. Okay, so it didn't get all crazy. Okay, this looks like the way it should. Okay, so let me go back in time and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, let me go back in time. I'm just going to undo a couple times here. I don't know how many undos I need. Oh. Oh, yeah. Let me see. No, it's adding. Okay, let me go back in here. Let me just delete. Let me start again. That one's fine. That's 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 fine. Do you want me to go all the way and realign everything from the scratch? Let's do that. I'm going to delete all these constraints. We're going to start from the beginning.
I think if you just highlight the first one and delete it, and you go.
Yeah, let me.
The one on the top.
Which one?
Sorry, just, yeah, that one.
It won't let me.
Oh, you have it?
Let's start again from scratch. This is difficult. It took me a long time to figure this out. Okay. Let me pause this video.